What's up guys, Lewi here. As you know, I'm a bit of a productivity nerd and I'm a bit of a shiny penny syndrome person as well. So I tend to test out all of the productivity apps that are out there, all the different note-taking things, the task managers, the calendars, you name it. I try it, I add it to my system if it works, and I don't if it doesn't. And this works really well for me. But when I'm coaching agents a lot of the time, they say, well, this is all great and it looks awesome, but how does someone like me start to build out productivity for myself without having to learn all these different applications, all these different shortcuts, all these different things that you're doing? And I thought to myself, that's a really good point. If only there was a productivity system and a suite of apps that was available to everyone, that was easy to use, that had incredible functionality and was free. Well, there is. And that's Apple Suite. Apple's suite of productivity apps is probably one of the most overlooked tools inside of productivity. And not a lot of people seem to really talk about it. We favor Notion, we favor Evernote, we favor Obsidian, all these different things. And that's fine if you've got the time to invest into these things and you're passionate about it. But what if you're just trying to use these to help you build your business, help you get on with your day, and just use it in the background? Well, today is the first video in a series of Apple tools that are free and you can use to be hyper productive. Now we're starting off with Apple Notes. Why are we doing this? Because note-taking for me is the biggest form of productivity that you can have. Yes, calendars, to-do lists, all that stuff is good. But for me, all of my ideas, all of the things that I do for my business, for my life, come from ideas in my head. And all the ideas here go into notes. And from there, they're deciphered, they're structured, and then I take action on what I need to do. Now, I'm not going to go into my system of note-taking. If you want to check that out, you can check it out right here. I go through the Para system from Tiago Forte, but this is done in Evernote. Completely translates to Apple Notes, but if you go and watch this here, you'll find out what that's all about. But today, I want to give you my top 5 reasons why I am switching back to simplicity and switching back to Apple Notes. So let's jump in. Okay, reason number 1 that I'm switching back is for brain dumping. Now, brain dumping is huge for me. Anywhere I am, I like to be able to just get the ideas out of my head and get back to them later. See, your brain is made for creativity, not storage. So we always think that we can remember these ideas, remember these things we have to do, remember all these thoughts we have, but at the end of the day, they just slip away into a dark hole somewhere and we always forget them. So having a space to brain dump is huge. The other big reason I love doing this is if I'm working on something right now with a client, with an agent, whatever it is, and I have an idea that pops into my head, I just want somewhere to place it real quick so I can get back to the task at hand. And Apple Notes couldn't make this easier. Now, I'm using my iPad today to show you this, and I'm using that because it's a great bridge between the iPhone, which I use a lot, and also my desktop that I use a lot as well. It has the functionality of both, so we're going to focus on this today, but just know that all of these things translate into all 3 areas: your phone, your tablet, and your computer. So to brain dump on here is super duper simple. All you have to do is make sure you go to settings and you're going to go into notes, scroll down and come to quick notes. So in quick notes, just hit corner gestures. You can change which corner you want to go to. And then the next thing to check off is here, the resume last quick note. You want that off, and I'm going to show you why. The reason I love this is that I don't actually have to be in the Notes app to use it. If I come into just my home screen here and swipe up from the bottom right, you can see it comes up as a quick note right here. This is a note about quick notes. Oh, just like that. I hit done and we're done and it's gone and I can get on with whatever it was I was doing. Now let's pull back up to the notes and you can see it's saved into the quick notes folder at the top. Click it here and it's right there. Now you can work in there, dictate what you want right away, do whatever. But I love this. I love it for listening to podcasts as well because I can just pull up quotes that someone said, drop them in there, and later on I can sort this out and put it to wherever it needs to go. Now, the reason I said to toggle the resume last quick note is that if I didn't have that toggle on and I swiped up again, it would show you the same note that you just did. And it's kind of like a running note, like a grocery list almost, that you're going to keep on adding to. That can work in some circumstances, but mostly I don't want that. I want separation between my thoughts and separation between the notes that I'm taking. So make sure you toggle that off, but you can pull up that quick note. You can do whatever you want. You can add in screenshots. You can just jump in and edit it right there. Do whatever you want. but the quick note swipe up is so cool. Now, of course, the other awesome and easy way to use notes is with Siri. Siri is obviously built into all our devices if you use Apple, and it couldn't be more simpler to use. If I'm driving, I use this all the time. If I'm out with the kids and I have an idea, I use this. I just pull up the phone, I say, hey Siri, add a new note about writing a script for a YouTube video all about Apple Notes.
Done.
Boom. And it's done. We're good to go. Now, if we go back to the iPad, you can see it's not saved in quick notes. You're going to go to the all iCloud, and it's going to be in here, writing a script for YouTube video all about Apple Notes. Now, depending on how you speak, with my crazy voice, sometimes Siri doesn't pick it up exactly the way I said it, but it's okay. Usually I know what I said and I can adjust it as I go in there. But Apple Notes for me is the number one easiest way to brain dump on a note-taking app that I've seen. Now, the second thing I love about the notes in here is these smart folders. Now, all you have to do to create this is click on the bottom left-hand corner and you can create a new folder. Now, think of it this way. You can put all the notes in all the folders you want for your different organization, but if you're working on something specific, you really want to have something that can pull all that data into one place while it still lives in its parent folder that you can use for however long you want. Then if you delete that folder, the notes still stay in the parent folders. So let's look at this. For instance, if I have a listing coming up, working on 123 Main Street, I'm going to go ahead and click Make a Smart Folder, and you can now choose what you want for a few different filters. So I'm going to create tags. I'm going to say any selected tag, and we're going to add in this tag of 123 Main Street. Now, you can't add spaces in between it here, but it is what it is. 123 Main Street, like that. And from here, every note that I tag with this hashtag will now be added into that folder. So let's create the folder. Done. And you see that it's added up here. Now, if I could just go into the quick note we made right here, all I have to do is go here, hashtag 123 Main Street, like this, boom. And you'll see it's added that in yellow. I'll come back into the smart folder here, 123 Main Street, and that note is right there. Super cool. I love how these folders work. Now, you don't just have to do it with tags. If I come in here and edit the smart folder, come in here, you can do whatever you want. You can do filter by created, filter by when it was edited. You can filter it by who you shared it with, which is what we'll talk about later on in the video, and a bunch of different things in here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can build smart folders, and they work really, really well. And it helps tremendously with organization. But for the agents I work with, I typically tell them to do it with listings or with clients. Just create that hashtag for your client or for the listing and just add everything in there so you can easily document it. You don't have to worry about going in there, organizing it yourself. If you just put that tag in, it'll organize it for you and you're off to the races. All right, my third reason for moving back to Apple Notes is a function that they just came out with recently. This was something that they had to add in for a long time, and it's really why apps like Obsidian work super well, because you can create relationships between notes now. So let's have a look at this. I'm inside that quick note we made. Now, in the past, if I had different notes inside of Apple Notes, I would need to pull up the link, come in and paste the link in here. And it was fine. It was what it was. But again, we're looking for ease of use. We're looking for something that anyone can use, which is what Apple really say they specialize in. So look at this now. Inside of Apple Notes now, if I hit the arrow, it's going to actually pull up all of my notes and I can search through them. So let's search for ChatGPT right here. And all of the notes that I have inside here with ChatGPT in here are actually going to be pulled up. Now I can just pull up here, boom, right there. And this is a call that I ran recently talking about how to use ChatGPT for YouTube. Now, this is fine, but it doesn't look that nice, right? If you've got a long note that you're building and you want to link a ton of things, it doesn't look great. So what if we did the same thing? I want to film a video about ChatGPT. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight ChatGPT and I'm going to say add link. And now I can type that in again, ChatGPT. Then I can go ahead and click that same one. Now, one thing you want to note here, you can keep the text the same as the way you were writing it there, just the ChatGPT, and then link the note to it. or if you toggle here, it will use that full elevation call ChatGPT for YouTube. So I like to keep things clean. So I just want to keep it linked to the way it was written. And that means that I can keep on writing in my note and it looks super clean just with that link on there. Okay, the last thing I love about how to link things is to actually create notes within notes. So if I'm saying something like part of ChatGPT is being able to create, and I'm going to say prompts here, right? Now I can just type prompts, that's fine. But if I want, I'm like, okay, you know what? I really want to write down a bunch of examples about prompts, but I don't want to have them all in this one note because it'll get a bit messy. So again, I'm going to hit those two arrows and I'm going to hit prompts. And you can see at the top here, it says create note prompts. I'm going to create this right here. And now I have a brand new note that I can jump into. I don't have to go into it right now and start editing it, but you can see it's there. Okay, I'll keep on writing, I'll keep on doing my thing. But I'm like, okay, well now I need to go back and fill in like some of those prompts. I'll just click on that note and I've got a new note or prompts that I can work through here. Now, I love this. I really, really love it. What I would suggest for you, and they don't have this yet, which is kind of where Obsidian works really well, is to come in here and just make sure you link it back. So link it back to the note that's its parent note, and then that means that you can go back and forth between those two notes like this. So they don't have that built in yet, which is fine, not a big deal. I'm sure it will come, but that's what I would recommend. If you have a note within a note, make sure you actually link the parent note so you can go back to it. Okay, reason number 4 I am moving back to Apple Notes is because of PDFs. PDFs have always been a bit of a problem inside any note-taking app. How to edit them, how to use them, how to be able to pull them in, pull them out. And it's just kind of been like a kind of multi-step process. Apple Notes have recently made this super easy and I love the way this works in here. So let's look at an example here. Let's go into my Gmail and I've got an invoice here from Google Workspace. And I'm just going to hit this PDF that's on the bottom of it. So regular invoice, not too bad. I don't really have to do anything with it. But say this was a document I either wanted to save or it was a document that I had to mark up or sign for a document or whatever it looked like that I had to do something, an action I had to take with it, I would bring it into Notes. So all I would do is on the top right hand corner, hit that share button. I would go to Notes, click, and then from here, it's going to save to a new note. Now you can come in here and add any context that you want inside there. And then when you go to save it, you can save it into whatever folder you want for this. Now I'm just going to add it to Quick Notes because that's where we're working right now. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new note. You can see I can select any of these notes to just add it into it. So actually, let's do that. Why don't we? Let's go into this note that we've been working on. This is a note about Quick Notes. I'm just going to hit that and it will save it inside of the note that we've already been creating. So let's go ahead and go back to Notes. I'll go, this is my note about Quick Notes. And you can see that this has now been added to it. Now you can shrink it down. You can do whatever you want to make it nice. And one thing I love about this is you can see that both pages of the PDF are pulled up. So instead of having to scroll through PDFs like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. Say it was like an HOA document or something like that. You can hit on show thumbnails and it will show you the pages that you can see. You can rotate the pages if you want to make sure they pop up. If you've ever dealt with HOA documents before, you know you're going to have to do this. They're all over the place. But it's really cool because now you can pull them up and you can work on them. Now, what I love about this being inside of the iPad is now I can use my Apple Pencil because, of course, being inside the note, I can hit on the Apple Pencil, I can pull up my pen, and I can go ahead and sign it or do whatever I need to do. Or if it's a document saying, hey, this is wrong, make sure you fix this or whatever you need to do. Okay, you could also maybe highlight a couple of things that you need to highlight. Whatever you need to do, you can go ahead and annotate on that PDF and now you can send it back. So let's get rid of the pencil here. Let's click on the arrow and you can see this. You can look at the document as the PDF. So now it's like this, perfect. With that document, you can go ahead and share it to whoever you need to share it to. You can also hit that arrow again. You can rename it into Google Workspace. doc. And you can save it into your files on your iCloud, or you can share it straight from there, print it off, do whatever you need to do. And this is huge for me. There is nothing worse than getting documents from the title company or from a lender or from someone else who doesn't use the same system that you do, and you need to get a signature for it. It's so annoying. A lot of people still don't use like DocuSign and different things like that. I don't know why, but it's really, really frustrating. So now you can actually come in, upload the PDF, sign it, do whatever you need to do, and send it back. And obviously you don't just have to upload it from somewhere else. You can scan it directly from your iOS device. So whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, you can come up to the 3 buttons here. You can hit scan on the left-hand side there, and it will scan a document. The only document I have beside me right now is a tax document, and you guys don't want to see that. But you can scan the doc in there, pull it in, do the exact same thing, and then send it off again. So phenomenal, phenomenal tool here. And of course, this is in the same document, the same note that we've been using and talking about, but you can put this in its own document if you want. But PDFs work really, really well inside of notes. And that's one of the reasons that I love using it in this system. And this segues nicely to our 5th and final point, and that is about sharing notes. You know, we just talked about downloading it and sharing it to someone else, but note sharing capabilities inside of Apple Notes is phenomenal. And I think it just really speaks to the way that Apple do business. They really want this to be easy for everyone to use. So say this note was something I wanted to share with you. I would go ahead and hit the sharing button right here. And you can see at the top here, there's a couple of things. You can hit that drop down and you can either collaborate or send a copy. If I choose to collaborate, that means if I send it to you, we can work back and forward on this note together. So this might be a grocery list with my wife. I have agents that also use this with clients. So they'll share it with their client and build a checklist of, hey, pre-listing, this needs to happen to your house. We need to paint this. We need to fill in the holes in the wall or whatever it is we need to do. But it's an easy way to share things. And again, Apple is built for simplicity. I could share a note with my mum in Scotland and she would be able to use it because it's that simple. And then the other option here is just to send a copy. If you're just going to send a copy, that's just going to send a note that they can just look at it, read only, they can't edit it, but they have access to it. Now, the next one here you can see is only invited people can edit. You can click on this and it gives you a few options. Again, you can invite people to work on this with you and share the note, or it can be anyone with a link. So the first option at the top is who can access it. So if you're only going to be, hey, just the invited people, just my client who I give it to, they can only access it. Or you can use it with, hey, anyone with the link. So maybe my client, but they might want to share it with their dad or their inspector or whoever, they can share it as well. But then you need to make sure you have the permissions changed. They can either make changes or they can just view it. Whichever one you choose, just make sure you're giving the right permissions to the right people for your notes. And the last toggle here is allow others to invite. Now, again, if I share something with my client, do I want them to have the ability to share it with someone else or not? Depends on the situation. Usually I leave this off and they ask me if they can share it with someone else. I'll say yes or I'll say no. And the last thing I would say about shared notes is this. I share a lot of notes with people. And sometimes I'm like, who did I share this with? Who did I not share this with? I kind of need to scroll down to find it. You can see that I've added a smart folder here for shared notes. Now, all you have to do again is click that folder button. Let's call it shared notes. Click on here, and all you would do is click on the shared option here. And you could say, hey, I want this to be filtered with notes that I've shared with anyone, or notes that I've just shared with my wife, or notes that I've not shared, whatever it is you want to do. You can hit that, done, and it will create that smart folder immediately for you. This is really cool, especially if you work with a partner or work with a team or a client. Like if there's a bunch of notes that you share with your clients that you're working on together, a collaborative effort, you can go ahead and filter them inside a smart folder. So it's really, really cool and robust. So now hopefully you can see one of the reasons that I'm switching back to the Apple suite and why I believe that we can build a complete productivity system that is functional, operational, available to all, and free to use for everyone. So if you have any comments, questions about Apple Notes, drop them in below and I will get to them we are going to go ahead and keep on moving with this. Again, if you want to know how I organize my notes, you can check out that video that I use Evernote as the example. And we are going to keep moving on with this Apple video series. So stay tuned for the next video in the series, and let's build a productivity system on Apple together.